Hello and welcome back to our studio. Yesterday we finished this painting of Charlie in orange. It's a little oil painting in 5" by 5". And today we're gonna do some sketching and drawing of the same image, just to show you how I actually get started with this. So grab your paper and pen and let's get started. I have a piece of Bristol drawing paper. This is This is a half sheet of 9 by 12 inch, and I cut it in half, then drew 4 by 4 square on that, so that I can draw grid lines. The reason I wanna work in a small size for drawing and just initial preliminary study, that I don't want to spend too much time and effort shading the composition that it just going to be study. But this is kind of an important step that you don't want to skip, especially if you're a beginner. Even you're a seasoned painter, it's really important to get to know the subject, and the easiest and most effective way is to work on a study, and I chose to do this on small scale, like 4 by 4 inches. So this is the same difference image I was using before, so I will make this bigger. So if you want, you can take a screenshot so that you can work from your local reference image. Make this even bigger for you. Right, now we can take a screenshot. Right, are you ready? I'm gonna just make this smaller to make space on the display. So for this study, I'll be using 2B pencil. And I made the exposure of the lead very long and filed it on the sandpaper to create this nice angle. I don't know if you can see. So this allows me to cover more area quickly when it comes to shading. But for drawing and for tight spot, I can use the pointy part of this lead. Just checking something on my computer quickly. Okay, so I'm using grid method to transfer this image, and I'm going to start out with the easiest spot I can find. So for example, the top of the head is right on the first horizontal line, and the back of his head is just a little bit from the intersection of the midline and the first horizontal line. So I'm looking at this negative shape behind his head. I'm also looking at the root of this plume, this black feathers sticking out from his forehead. They are called plume, and the quail usually have 6 bundle of feathers, unless they are molting and replacing the feathers. Okay, this is where the top of the beak is intersecting. So I'm looking at the negative shape on the corner of this block. So everything is thin line of pencil drawing at the beginning, because I don't want to be I'm not too committed to all these lines. I want to make it easy to erase any mistakes at the beginning. Then I will enhance the drawing as I go. Okay, again I'm looking at the negative shape of the stem of this plume. So I want to make sure that I have this nice triangle right here. And the tip of the plume is about halfway into this far right corner of the block. So the intersection of this part is a little bit lower than the halfway of this vertical line. And the top of the plume is almost the center of this block. Now I can connect the dots. Since I'm a right-handed, I wanna save the right half of the drawing for later so that I don't smudge the drawing with my hand. Okay, let's work on the back of his neck. So this part comes straight down instead of curving, and it intersects with the first vertical line with a little bit of angle. Again, I'm comparing this negative shape with the reference photo. So now this neckline comes up and gently reaches over to this point. So I can connect these two dots. Now I'm looking at this little dark triangle. So I'm gonna mark this spot where the silhouette intersects with the grid line, and also I'm checking out the bottom of this silhouette. It's about halfway. This block. It's not really straight because there are some feathers wrapping around his body. Like that. Okay, let's work on the right side. So the lid side, the edge of the lid side is not completely intersecting with this cross section of a grid line. There's a tiny bit of space. So I'm gonna put pencil mark right here, and I'm gonna look at the bottom edge of canvas. It's maybe about a quarter. If I were to divide this into quarters, it's about a quarter from the grid line to the silhouette on the right side. So now I can connect the line, connect the dots, and create a nice gentle curving line. Alright, let's look at his throat. Okay, where is the beak is intersecting with the first vertical line. I'm eyeballing it. It's about 1/3. So I'm going to divide this in thirds. That's the bottom of his beak. And now I feel like the top of the beak needs to be a little bit higher. So if I measure this with pencil, this needs to come a little bit higher. Now I'm gonna draw the shape of the big free hand. As you can see, I'm gonna increase the contrast of the camera. Just a minute. Let's see. Just lowering the ISO of the webcam. Now you can see a little bit better, right? Okay, now I have the beak. I want to see where the throat intersect. So the distance from here to the from the intersection of the grid lines to where the throat cut through this horizontal grid line, it's bigger on the left side and less on the right. So I'm gonna put it here. I'm trying to see if I can fit two of this measurement. On the left side of this intersection, but it's not big enough to fit. So this is just about right. Now if I connect these two spots, this negative shape should be the same as the reference image. Then the throat comes down about the same angle, and then it switches back. So this black shape on his throat comes straight down almost to the middle of this block. I can bring this diagonal line coming down on his shoulder and his chest. So there's two little arc here. It's not completely straight. So this is why it helps to do drawing study before painting, because when I was painting, I didn't have chance to learn about this detail. It's not detail, but it's just a subtle switch. So I painted it with straight line, and now it makes more sense. And this is what I should have done. Or I could have done. Alright. So behind his white marking, there's a little black stripe coming straight down. almost 1/3 and switches into gray shape. So his body is moving, and he's walking toward us, and his torso is pointing toward us, but his head is turning to the right. So there's a little twist here, and we see the cape, this dark cape on top of his gray chest feathers. That's why you see this switch between black and gray. The right side of the white marking. This will look like a nice pearl necklace. So I want to make this more of angled black shape instead of square. Okay, let's work on his face. This needs to be a little bit wider. Nice thing about having device right next to my canvas is that I can go like this. I can move around the reference image. So I can stay away from my easel a little bit more, and without leaning into my device so close that I won't be able to see my canvas from distance. Okay, so his white headband is parallel to the silhouette, the left outline of his head on the left side, so it's pretty easy to work on. this white thing just intersect with this midline about halfway. And on the right side, it's starting from the base of this plume, the black forehead feathers. So I can gently connect these two dots. Pretty faint on the camera, huh? I increase the contrast on the camera so you should be able to see it a little bit better. I'm intentionally making these lines really thin and faint before I'm completely committed. So bear with me if you have hard time seeing it. So there's a nostril right behind, beak right next to the beak. Straight down the root of the base of the plume. That's the corner of the front corner of his eye, and it's straight behind his nostril. There's a really dark shadow on his lower beak. I'm gonna secure this spot. there's a little dark line right between the eyelid and the nostril. I need to make sure I have enough space for that. So his eye is pretty much in the center of this block. So if I were to draw micro grid line, maybe it's not halfway. So this is where his eye is, the center of his eye. So that's his pupil. This white band needs to go a little bit higher. So the width of his eye from here to here is smaller than the space between this midline of this grid to the left corner of his eye, and also it's smaller than the space from the front corner of his eye to this vertical grid line. That's how you can prevent from making his eye too big, which I tend to do very often. And the bottom of his lower eyelid lines up with the separation of his beaks. go ahead and create the highlight on his eye, because it's kind of like the main feature of this piece. Alright, let's finish up this white marking on his cheek. So this is where his ear is. You can see a little horizontal separation of the feathers. The tiny feathers are covering and protecting his ear. Now I'm gonna start shading. Before I start shading, I'm gonna take a snapshot of this. It's easier to do that with my phone. Needs to be a little bit smaller. Okay, I'm gonna start shading. First thing first, the black plume. Using the flat base of the pencil lead, so it's faster to cover more area, leaving the white points blank. I think I can just get rid of this guidelines. So I'm using kneaded eraser and exposing the clean part. Nice thing about the kneaded eraser is that you can shape this in all kinds of shapes. It's nice to get rid of these grid lines because it doesn't keep reminding you this is a drawing, and it's very destructive. You don't want to be distracted by these guidelines. I can keep changing the shape, the eraser. Just rotate and start shading. I'm following the direction of the feathers. So I'm just basically blocking in the shadow shapes. Dark shapes where the light is not reaching. Then creating gradation toward the lit side. I'm intentionally overshooting the border of the canvas. What I mean by canvas is this big square outline of this particular drawing. That's the frame of this drawing. I can erase these pencil marks outside with eraser later, so I'm not concerned about ending the pencil mark right at the edge of the canvas. So for the really dark shapes, I can layer the pencil marks and make them darker. So I'm not gonna make them dark right from the get-go. In case I change my mind or make mistake, I have room. I have easier way out. So this value study gives me opportunity to study and get to know about the value relationship in this big value masses. This helps me to paint more realistic animal and portrait. So maybe this side needs to be a little bit lighter. We'll see. So his eye got kind of lost in this value math, and that's okay. Just wanna establish the value relationship rather than rendering the detail at the moment. squinting my eyes to find the value. The value relationship. This part is a little bit darker. So quail have dark face, like black face and black plume. So these two areas are the darkest in their body, and the stuff we see on this dark side behind his head is actually not as dark as the black face, but it just appears to be darker because it's not receiving light. It's more like brown gray on top of his head. So I'm gonna work on the background a little bit. I'm gonna layer this shade, so I'm not too concerned about making this first layer of blocking precise, but I'm trying to connect these lines side by side. Now, second layer is easier because it already has a layer of graphite on the paper, and the pencil glides a little bit better. It's goes more smooth, using the flat base of this angled lead to cover more area faster. Now I'm gonna make the edges a little bit darker and create the vignette effect. Let's see. Maybe a little bit more, and I will go back to the bird. So you might have noticed that I'm using this piece of paper to cover my drawing, and this protects my drawing from getting smudged. I think I made this a little bit too dark. I'm just gonna tap this kneaded eraser and remove this excess graphite. It's really important to do this with repetition of thin layers instead of trying to create dark pencil mark in one go. Just gonna go over the plume because it's much darker than the background anyway. And for the highlight, I can use eraser to re-establish the light. Also, I'm using vertical pencil strokes to create the illusion that the background is actually a vertical wall instead of a flat ground. Go the way around. I could do the sideways too, or the other way. It doesn't matter. If you're doing this with me, that's great. And this is a nice relaxing activity at the end of the day. Just a nice relaxing activity, just to unwind from busy day. Okay. So the first note of the background is covered. I'm gonna start creating better gradation from the corner toward inside, because this vignette effect will bring more viewers' attention to the center of the canvas. The main goal of the painting is to keep viewers' attention to the painting. I'll go back to the left side. Could even use maybe 4B. I've been using 2B. 4B is a little bit darker, and even I think it's even wider. This is 4B, this is 2B, so maybe it will help me to cover the background area faster. Making sure the white base is contacting the paper, so I'm not wasting my time with tiny point of the lead. The key is not to rush. take time and just focus. That's how I'm doing. Okay, it's getting better. Now I can make this shadow side darker. Just want to smooth out this background gradation a little bit more. I'm using very light pressure to create the layers rather than pressing the pencil hard onto the paper. Oops. See, I rushed here and it shows. I have a nice and smooth gradation in the back. Okay, now we have nice gray tone to kind of kill the whiteness of canvas. Just like applying wash on the blank canvas. And just make this a little bit darker, right? Okay, so now I can see that, so this background needs to be darker than the lid side of his shoulder, but needs to be lighter than his black throat. Now we are talking value. I'm switching to 2B pencil. re-establish the plume. Now it's easy to see what needs to be darker and needs to be lighter. We have a more realistic background value, which is dark gradation. I'm gonna work on the back of his head, so I'm gonna rotate this. So this is going to be a little bit darker. So for the back of his head, because his feathers are actually a bunch of small and short feathers, doesn't have to be continuous pencil stroke. Let's see how it's going. Now it's much darker, but one thing about that is the top of his head is lighter, but the background is also light. So the solution is to make the background darker. Okay, so where does the head go? The top of his head is pretty flat. So I'm gonna just make it just one notch dark. Now I use 2B because it's 4B is a little too intense. It's almost impossible to erase, especially with soft kneaded eraser. See if I can just create nice highlight on top of his head. Just above this white headband is actually black, so it's okay to make it darker. So also in front of his forehead needs to be a little bit darker too. Okay. Back, the dark side of his body can be darker too. Maybe I'll use 4B. Now I'm gonna darken in front of his chest on the right. To be vertical strokes to be consistent with the rest of the background. Don't like this little dark spot. This now we know that it's not impossible to erase. Even with 4B pencil. So this dark background cannot be darker than this black plume. There's a little dark pattern on the top of above his head, so I need to do something about it with eraser. It's okay, I'm gonna deal with it later. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more. I'm gonna create gradation on his chest so that it shows round form, especially from right to left and from up to down. Maybe I can just remove some of this darks, revealing the paper white. creating gradation from the right edge of the canvas towards the middle. Now I have more freedom to express even darker gray and light. This is where the fun begins. But unfortunately, I need to wrap this up for now. So this is getting more interesting. I can just remove more graphite from here. Now I'm putting more pressure on the pencil, and I'm placing my drawing handle with pinky, just like how I paint. Making suggestion of some feathers here and there. Following the direction of the feathers. getting there. I'm liking it. Don't want to leave his forehead like blank paper white, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of shading. On the beak too. Cleaning up the highlight on his beak. I think it's a little bit too slopey, so I'm gonna make nice and rounded. There you go. Once there's a layer of graphite on the paper, the pencil runs so much more smoothly and easier. Okay, it's not too bad. I'm gonna definitely work on his eyes sometime soon, but maybe I can just put a little highlight, a spot of highlight. Okay, to be continued. Well, thank you for watching.